take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. He's from the city, she's from the south. Two different chapters told miles out. They're back row living in his White House. So many stories that I need to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. So many stories right in front of me. Some people climb to heights I've never seen. Too many falling down off their feet. These stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. Why you're the way you are. Why you're the way you are. Tiptoe around with face of a stranger. Quiet observer, never get too close. I see.
Oh, and I'm showing the absolute wrong screen, so... Okay, I think that might be better. So, please, everyone, this is going to be an interesting night because our usual producer, Brett, is not here. I'm seeing the right screen on YouTube now. He is not here because his team, True Sight, is competing in the PUBG Continental Series. This is 4. And they are in the finals. There are 32 teams in the finals out of, let's see, they started at, so they went from 62 to the round of 62, they went to the round of 32, I'm sorry, 64 to 32 to 16, and then they added a couple of semi-professional teams onto them somehow, something like that. And so now they're competing in order to move on to the finals. As we were getting ready to start, their team just finished. They have matches, right? So there's 5 matches a night in this particular instance, and they just finished second in this last match. So, so Brett is usually the one who does all of this, and he gave me about a 8-minute tutorial on how to do this today. So, so I should know how to do the basics. I'm noticing on my screen that you can actually see. Let's see if it works. I'm going to give it a shot. Here we go. Oh, look at that. It worked on my screen. That's where we are. And that's going to bring me to my first task as we get started before we introduce everybody. This is our current Kickstarter. Whoops, I can't back the project. I'm trying to update it is what I'm trying to do. I'm going to see where we are just so we can let everyone know. So that everybody knows, the last Kickstarter is fully fulfilled. All the packages are out except for 2, and it's because I don't have your addresses. If I don't have your address, I can't send you a comic. So you need to send me your address so that I can send you your comic. And so that's completely fulfilled. Now this one here, we launched on Thursday, and as you can see, it's Sunday, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days here. We are at 86 backers, 3686 with 14 days to go. I don't remember what that percentage is.
We have $822 left.
There you go. Barb, our accountant, says we have $822 left to go. So you guys jump over there. There's still a lot of cool stuff left. If you're a fan of original art, I mean, obviously, here's your covers. Here's your Kickstarter exclusive covers. We just updated this. Mickey just turned in the awesome colors for that. In fact, at some point tonight, I may show you the this one. Jackson has sent me the final black and white version of this, so I may pop that up there for you to see that. But you can see here some of this artwork's already going. If you're a fan of original art, you need to pop over there and grab some of this before it's all gone. So yeah. But this is what we're going to be talking about tonight, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here other than to just kind of update you on that. How do I get back here? All right, very good. So Roberta, why don't you tell everybody who we are?
We are Silverline. Welcome, everyone. We are currently in
Roberta.
Our very next Kickstarter is active now, and I am very pleased to present a very fine group of people today. We have our head honcho, Roland. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am Roland. I am the head honcho. It says so on my card. I used to have one here that I could show you, but I don't have it right now. It says it on my card, but I am also the writer of Cat and Mouse, and I'm the writer of Trumps right there, and I'm the writer of something we might be seeing a little bit of later tonight if Roberta is coloring it, and it's the Silverline team up.
We might.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
And next on my list is Barb Kilberg, I guess our Divinity heroine here, the creator of our current Kickstarter and award-winning series, wonderful story on its second book now. So it's already finished, and we are excited to see the next issue.
Thank you. As you said, my name's Barb Kilberg, and longtime pro, 30 plus years. And as she said, I am the creator, co-writer, inker, and colorist for my own book, Divinity. And I also color Sirens, and I'm inking Cat and Mouse. And when I'm not doing that, I'm bugging Roland and BJ about our expenses because I am also the CFO of Silverline.
Speaking of which, I sent you an email today.
Yeah, I saw it. It'll be tomorrow morning.
Okay, all right.
And also we have Kurtis Fujita, our Silverline creative director. Please tell us more about yourself, Kurtis.
Sure. Kurtis Fujita, as you mentioned, creative director at Silverline. I'm also the creator of the upcoming comic book Shadow Ghost. I'm also a martial arts instructor, so my new project is going to be the Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master. So that's who I am.
And we also have Aaron Humphres. Aaron,
not least.
Last but not least, yes.
I am an illustrator of the Fire Rush comic, which we have. It's 3 issues. I think we have one more issue coming out for that. And then, of course, if people turn in their addresses, we can get the other ones going to you because on the way. I am also the penciler for an upcoming comic called The Obsoletes, which is a sci-fi comic coming from Silverline, which I'm really excited about right now, and I am working on page 9 as I talk to you guys tonight, and
Nice.
oh, and I also do my own comic Goblins, which I will be coloring later tonight after I finish page 9. So things to do.
Nice. Aaron, why don't you go ahead and tell us? I'm sorry, Roberta. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I hadn't introduced myself.
Oh
either.
yeah. For some reason, I'm thinking you were first, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was waiting till last, but here I am, Roberta Conroy. I'm the colorist on 2 up-and-coming series, Cat and Mouse, and the Champion and Miss Fury, Silverline team up.
Yes.
And you'll see a little bit of that today.
Nice, sweet. Dadgummit, and I think I told you the exact same thing last week. I put together a very rough PDF of like the first half of the book. It's all lettered and mostly colored.
Right.
I'll
get you some more.
I was going to say I meant to share it with you and Tommy and Pete, but I'm like, Dadgummit, I keep forgetting to do that. It's just so you guys can see how what it's looking like, because it's looking really, really good. Looking really good.
Yeah, I have some pages to throw at you. 'Cause
Okay.
I just have them. I like to wait till there's a little group, but I can throw some
that's
at
good. That's good. Yeah. So so the way I long story short, the way when I'm lettering, I will put the pencils down onto Illustrator so that I can make sure I get my margins set correctly. I'll pop down the Kablam guide, then I'll put the pencils down on that, and I'll line up the pencils with the Kablam guide to make sure that I'm not going outside, the live art area. And then literally I will just, when I get the inks, I will literally just replace the file with, literally
the color.
Yeah, change the link. That's all I do. I don't try to place a new file in there. It only doesn't work sometimes if the original art was penciled and we got scans and whoever inked it or colored it might have cropped it a little bit. Then I might have to do some adjustments. But if it's the same file, digital file as the pencils, I literally just replace the link and the new page just magically appears there. So
see, I like the little behind the scenes of the process here, because we don't usually get to hear all this little details. And
yeah.
Even I, as a colorist, can go, oh, I can learn something about my approach if that's what you're doing.
We may have to, that's not a bad idea. We may have to set some time in the future to kind of say, okay, well, what's the process for you, Roberta? When you get the page, what do you do? Now, not go through, and don't, color the whole page, obviously, but...
Yeah, I do not crop it, just so you know. I never do.
Okay, yeah, well, good. Then what happens is then I literally just... Because I'll take, for Silverline Team Up, Tommy has already sent me the file. That file is in the Adobe Illustrator, okay? So when I get the page from you, I will go into the links, and I will say, I don't want you to link to the inked page anymore. I want you to link to the colored page. And it literally just swaps, replaces it, and I don't have to reposition it. I mean, sometimes I might have to a little bit, and I certainly have to go in and the sound effects, because usually I will letter the sound effects for the black and white version, right? I'll put in the grayscales and stuff like that, and that's really the only changes I have to do. I have to make. So it's
that
very
makes
nice.
me very happy.
Yes.
You know why it makes me happy?
Why?
Because that is exactly the way, like if you have to position it, you're kind of thinking about other things. But if you have to just replace the file, you get a 2-second reaction of
yes.
color. And I like that.
Oh, that's exactly. I'll have to do it sometime on the stream and show you exactly, because it's very, very cool to see it just like I said, it looks like it's like magic, right? So anyway, yeah. All right, so Aaron, we got some sponsors, don't we?
Oh.
I
have no idea who would want to
list?
sponsor that. Yes, we do have a sponsor. It is the Daytona Beach Comic Con, which is happening September 18th and 19th, right? Is it 2 days or 3 days? It's 2 days, right?
It's 2 days, yes.
September 18th and 19th. And I'm going there. Roland will be there. And I'm not sure who else on here. I think John, who's not with us tonight, will be there. And then we have the other one, which is called, the other sponsor is called History Camp, which actually sounds really cool. And if I was a kid, I would love to have gone to History Camp. They never had stuff like this when I was a kid. At least I didn't hear about it if they did.
Yeah.
So those are our two sponsors, and they're great. I want to go to History Camp.
I know, right? Yeah.
Sounds great.
That's like, why? That sounds awesome. Especially if you get to do recreations of historical moments. That would be fun.
Yeah, like the Battle of Bunker Hill.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe a little known tidbit about me here. I was a Civil War reenactor from about 98 until about 2006, and then I moved away from where all the battles took place. And the unit I was with actually often did do events for kids. We'd line them up. We had sometimes we had little wooden rifles, so we didn't give them our muskets or anything, but we'd give them, and we'd basically kind of drill them and tell them how to line up in a line and march and stuff like that, and just it's basically living history is what it is. So it's a lot of fun. We didn't let them throw dirt clods at each other though. Which is what I would have done as a kid, right? I would have thrown dirt clods at the other guy. Okay, so thank you, Aaron. So
you're welcome.
Kurtis.
Yes.
Your turn, man.
Oh, excuse me. I was just drinking from my beverage here, from this wonderful Silverline Comics mug, which you can get on Zazzle. We do have a store on Zazzle. You can get all of your cool Silverline products there, from license plate holders to mugs to shirts. Special edition Silverline shirts. You'll see a lot of us have the red ones, but there's other ones in different colors there. So make sure to check it out. That's Zazzle and Silverline Comics.
That's right. And I will say this: we have been working on kind of behind the scenes. The CEO and I, we've been working trying to see if we can't figure out a way to get a cart onto our website. And I think I'm this close. It's been one of those things, you kind of sometimes some of these things and Barb can verify this. So when you're on a shoestring budget, there's a lot of these things you just got to figure out for yourself. You're like, well, we could pay someone $1,000 to do this, but then I'd have to have $1,000, and I don't have $1,000. So, okay, how do we figure this out? So we have looked at all kinds of stuff from the different, like the Etsy stores and things like that. But we're like, we don't really want to. It'd be nice if they could just have a one place they can go, and we don't want to send them off our own site. And so, we played with all kind of stuff. We use Square for a lot of the stuff, and so we toyed around with like a Square store, but again, that sends them off the page, and so I think we have about figured something out. So hopefully, I don't know, probably not this week, but maybe within the next month we'll have something figured out, and we'll have more to report there. But yeah. So anybody else have any news before we kind of launch in to today?
If I can just add something, because we're talking about the Kickstarter and everything, and we always mean it, but we always want to say it too, is that we really appreciate everybody who's supported us all this time, who's made every single one of the Kickstarters successful, and the current one with Divinity 2 and Steam Patriots is just skyrocketing. It's doing great.
Oh man.
But everything's about momentum. So I think we just want to make sure that everybody, if you haven't already committed to, pledging, do so. The sooner the better, like immediately. And then also please make sure to share, because it's all about momentum with these things. And Roland says it and everybody says it, even if you're not able, you don't have the money right now, we totally get that, but, please do share it, because it literally takes this much effort, just like 2 clicks, 2 pushes of your index finger, and that supports us. So
if you go to the
do this first, we appreciate it.
If you go to the Silverline page or Scott Wakefield's Facebook page or my fake
book, yeah, that's about right.
Facebook page, all you have to do is click share, and that's it. And you wouldn't believe how much that helps. It's almost as good as a
Yes.
pledge.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And not just, and even, we're talking about the Zazzle store or even the Kickstarter, everybody here is a creative person. Everybody here is doing it because we're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I can speak for myself, and I would like to think everybody else feels the same. We get excited when we see somebody else is excited. Just knowing
Yes.
that you shared it, or, how many times have you looked at your post and all of a sudden, oh, I got 2 more shares.
Right, that's right. Yep.
That does so much to energize us and to inspire us to keep working hard, and so we appreciate it.
Well, and in addition to that, except for Barb, who is recently retired, and this also goes for her until recently. We all work day jobs. We all have we all work something in some place that keeps us that pays the bills. And we make these comics because we love comics. We love the medium. We love making them. We love the the creativity that comes with it. I'll also say, while it's totally kind of unexpected, very, very good unexpected, I love the camaraderie that has become the Silverline. It's we're not as I mean it's just kind of a natural thing that's happened, and I really like that. I really enjoyed that. So that's part of what keeps me going. And knowing that Kurtis is like, when Roberta posts something, everybody's, oh, that's very cool. Like, yeah, that's really cool. Let me show you this, and everyone's like, oh, that's really cool. And it's creative energy feeds kind of off other creative energy, and I think that's really nice. And so because of that, Roberta asked a question. I can't remember. I think we weren't quite streaming yet, so I'm going to answer that question because I don't know that it's ever been answered on the stream. I know very different ones have been answered. I'm not going to keep count because I can't keep count and talk about them at the same time, but I am going to answer them. First, Wubba says if you're running WordPress, they have tons of free cart options to plug in. And Wubba, I think that's about what we've ended up finding. I've used a lot of, I've toyed with a lot of them, and they didn't do quite what I wanted them to do, but I think I have found one that will do what we want it to do. And what it's done, and long story short, what it's done, Wubba, it's imported everything from Square and created the store page for us. So I'm still toying around with that, and so I'm excited about that. But yes, that's kind of where. It's kind of where we are. Stephen Brown says, hi, I almost forgot tonight is Silverline Stream Night. Stephen, don't you dare forget Sunday night is Silverline Stream Night, man. Come on. We need you. Hey, if you got questions, man, we're about to talk to, we're waiting for Rory. Scott will not be here. Scott's grandmother passed away yesterday or day before, I can't remember exactly, and Scott was going to join us to talk about Steam Patriots, but he is not here. Rory, we are anticipating any moment now, hopefully in full costume like he had on Wednesday, to talk about Steam Patriots. But we're gonna pepper them with questions. But Roberta said something before we started streaming. She said, "I'm not even sure how many projects we have going on." So I have a list. I can't show the list because it has creator stuff on it, right? But I am going to kind of run down the list of what's there, right? So, and these are just really kind of in order. I have 3 columns on my page, and when a column gets shifted off, I will sometimes cut one thing and move it up to the other so that my columns are even. I hate uneven columns, right? So they're not in any particular order, but I'm just going to kind of run down the list. So the first one up is the Cat and Mouse miniseries, okay? Wubba is actually drawing the 4th issue right now to complete that miniseries. Now, you've also heard us talk about a second one. Wubba's already finished the 1st issue of the next miniseries. So that issue's penciled. Nice. The whole book's not done, but Wubba is done. Wubba's done with the pencils for what it could technically be issue number 5, but it's number 1 of the new miniseries. Jeff Whiting's is inked a bunch of those, and Roberta's even colored some of those. So the next issue in the Cat and Mouse run is in production, but we're still working on number 4 of this current mini. Okay, so there's that one. Fire Rush, which Aaron mentioned earlier, which has 1 issue left. There's Kalis. There's Kalis. which all four of those issues are done, completely finished. They're done. We've just got to get them scheduled and get them kickstarted. And in fact, Brent just sent me the script for the next #1, the next Kalis miniseries. So,
Nice.
There's
Cool.
that. There's Twilight Grim, which is a 4-issue miniseries, 2 of which are done. Rob Davis has finished issue #4. So Rob is completely done. #3 is in Mickey's hands, and I don't know if Mickey's had the opportunity to do any of them. I haven't really followed up with it because since we just kickstarted #2, I haven't really followed up with Mickey about that. But he has all of issue 3 in his hands. 3 and 4 have not been lettered, but Rob has done his part on them, so they're done. And then there is Divinity, which of course we are in the middle of kickstarting issue #2, and it's of course like all of our Kickstarters, it's done. It's ready to go. The script for #3 is finished. We're waiting on Alex to kind of clear his schedule before he can jump into #3. Barb and I are kind of poking him with sticks and saying, "Come on." So there's that. Then there's Trumps. Trumps 3 and 4 are being worked on simultaneously. So it was kickstarted book 1, which is actually issues 1 and 2. We'll probably kickstart this one as book 2, which will be issues 3 and 4. Those books are being worked on simultaneously. Quentin is doing issue #3, and Pete and Tommy are doing issue #4. I can't remember how many pages Pete's done. Quentin's done about 8-9 pages, something like that. So the funny thing about that one is, so here's the funny thing, right? So issue 3 ends, and I'm going to tell you the story, but issue 4 picks up in the exact same scene that issue 3 leaves off in. Well, when Pete started drawing issue #4, he's like, is there any reference for that? I'm like, dude, he's on page 2, right? So I said, here's the deal. You figure this out, and then when he draws it, he's got to use your pages as reference. So issue 3, Quentin is going to be using issue 4 pages as reference to draw issue 3, if that makes any kind of sense. So that's Trumps. White Devil by R.A. Jones. I hope somebody's keeping count because I'm not counting them. White Devil by R.A. Jones. Jackson Rennick has penciled all of the issues. The first issue was inked by Mike Keeney and Chuck Bordell. Chuck Bordell is inking, putting the finishing touches on #3, I think, but #2 is already inked. I think 4 needs to be inked and lettered. Phil Leon is coloring the first issue, and he's probably pretty close to being finished with the first issue colors. That's White Devil. Steam Patriots, of course, is another one we're going to talk about tonight. Steam Patriots is a 4-issue miniseries. The first issue is done. I know the second issue script is done. I'm not really sure where that stands in production yet, which is kind of why I was hoping Scott or Roy can fill us in. Then there's the Rejects. Rejects is a 3-issue miniseries. The first issue is completely penciled by C. Michael Lanning. The second issue is in his hands to do. He picked up another he picked up a pay-in project along the way, so he's working on that. Hopefully he can be able to jump back on Rejects pretty soon. Thomas Floramonti is inking the first issue. We're not sure if Rebecca will be able to come back or not. We've got our fingers crossed that she can, but he's inking that first issue. Bear is the first issue. Haley sent me an update. She said she's got 17 pages done of Bear. It was 22, but she took one page and turned it into a double-page spread, and so now it's going to end up being 24. So I told her, you cannot. That is the end. You cannot go more. We don't have that many pages. Cannot be more than that. So that one's almost finished. Then there's the Silverline team up, which Roberta was mentioning earlier. That's going to be it was a 3, but now it's going to be a 4. That first issue is completely penciled, about half inked and about half colored. Pete has done about half of the pencils for the second book before we asked him to shift over and finish Trump's number 4. Then there's a project called, you probably haven't heard much about this one. Then there's a project called Satin's Ways. It was something that we had in play probably a year ago. With Ron Fortier is the creator and the writer, and we had one of the Kubert, we had a rush of Kubert students come to us. And I won't mention her name because it's going to sound like I'm saying negative stuff. But she did some character designs, and then she just dropped off the face of the earth. She would not respond to Facebook messages or to emails. She just quit responding. But she was alive because, we saw her posting on Instagram and things like that. And so we tried to get in touch with her for, several weeks. And finally we just decided that it was, something happened somewhere and we don't know what it was. And so we decided to move on. And I think that we have, Ron has found another artist. And so we're moving forward with that. Then there is Wolf's Hunter, which is by Tim TK. If you've tuned in on Wednesday, you've heard them talk about that. It's a 3-issue miniseries set in World War II, bit of an alternate history, a little bit like Steam Patriots. Then there's one called Cape Town, which is written by Kalis writer Brent Larson, and it's JW. What is JW's last name? I don't have JW's. I'm sorry, JW, if you're listening. I don't have his last name in front of me. Anyway, so he has penciled about half the book. I think so. So that was coming along. Then there's Teen Beetle, which we've already kickstarted the first issue. I need to get an update from John as to where the second issue comes along. And it's not even on my list, but I can tell you this, because of Teen Beetle, we're going to do, Silverline's going to do the Rochelle third volume. Rochelle, for those of you who are fans of John or Teen Beetle or Rochelle, Rochelle was published by Antarctic Press. And John has all the rights to them, so when he brings Rochelle back, we'll probably issue the first and second volume. John and I haven't worked out all the details. We don't know whether we're gonna issue volume 1 and 2 as volumes 1 and 2, the Silverline versions, or we're gonna release them as an omnibus. But part of the reason we're doing this is that John's got some. How can I say this? Some subsidiary rights people interested in some Rochelle stuff. So he needs to get this back in print. And as it's part of the Teen Beetle universe, or as Teen Beetle is part of Rochelle, it just made total sense to me for us to do that. So that one's not slated yet. No, we're going to finish Teen Beetle before we do anything, but certainly it's on our list. Excuse me. I told you all this is going to be a long one, right? Obsoletes! You have heard Aaron talk about this. Obsoletes is written by Wes Loker.
Comic book or something?
Written by Wes Loker, who promises me he will join our streams just as soon as he humanly can. He has a young one, and he plays, he has to, I think his wife works during the day. Or hold on now. His wife works during the day, or he works during the day. I don't know. So somehow he's not able to stream, join us while we're live. But he says that he will just as soon as we can, and certainly he can jump on for special occasions. So, but yeah, you've seen Aaron talk about it, and we've seen Aaron draw it. Then we've got one called, and we don't like this title, so we don't. But it was what the pitch was called, but. We're working on a new title. The working title is Justin and Hale, and this is by Mackenzie Workman, and Quentin is going to be the artist for that. Quentin was going to be doing this before I yanked him off and asked him to do issue 3 of Trump. So I kind of delayed the progress on Justin and Hale a little bit, and Mackenzie she accepted my apologies and she's okay with it. And then there's Silverblade, which is the Dean Zachary project that you have heard him talk about on the Wednesday stream. And I know that I think Tommy has inked one, cover, and I think Dean has a couple of pages up. Phew!
Wow.
Did anybody count those? Because I didn't.
I think there might be one more.
Oh, doggone it, Shadow. Oh, see, I need to. That's why I need to add this right here. Shadow Ghost. And then there is Shadow Ghost. See, I'm always afraid I want to forget something. Shadow Ghost, which is by Kurtis Fujita.
If I can give a quick
Please do.
update. So I'm penciling, writing, lettering, coloring, but we just got a inker. So Larry Welch, veteran inker, so Larry's going to be joining us. Larry's a great guy. I've known Larry since I was very young, and he's worked with a lot of people, and inked Barry Windsor Smith, George Perez, and stuff like that. And I got him to ink my book. So yeah, he's awesome. Larry's awesome. So
He's amazing.
it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, fantastic.
We also have the remixes, don't we?
Yes, we do. I was just about to go there. I see. I was trying to get you all settled down to think. Well, that's a whole bunch. Now you ready for the remixes? So in the remixes, we have Cray, which is being colored by Jeremy Kahn. Jeremy is on the 5th issue of Cray. It's a 5-issue series, and he is on the 5th issue. That means 1 through 4 are completely done. Number 5 is almost finished. We have Silverstorm, which is being colored by Alabama Boy. A former.
Do we all have nicknames, Roland? And we just don't know about it.
It's hell getting old, isn't it, Roland?
Yeah. Shoot. Scott Gordon, who is another former Malibu colorist. He's on issue 2 of that one. Then we have, I'll count these because they're easy to count. Then we have Demon's Tales, which is being colored by David Rios, who is another former Malibu colorist. David is on issue 4 of Demon's Tales. Switchblade, which we kickstarted the first issue remix a couple of Kickstarters ago. It's completely colored by Aidan Belcher. It's completely done. We could go and print that today. Then we have Pendulum, which is a 4-issue miniseries, and Roberta has colored 2 of those issues, I think.
2.5.
2.5, okay.
Yeah, I'm slogging through number 3. It is halfway there. Well, I just mean that. It's not the 4th book yet.
I'm with you. And then we have.
I love it. Don't even think for a second. It's not really fun. 6. It's a good story too.
It is. It really is.
It's worth pulling back.
Yeah. I think so too. It's one of those. It's like, man, more people need to read this, and I think the color is going to help bring in a new audience for that. And then we have Sirens, which Barb is coloring, and she has colored. It's a 4-issue miniseries. Barb has colored 2 of them completely, so it's already half done. And not done yet, and I'm not sure really where it is in production, is Sniper and Rook. John and I have talked about this some. It's a longer volume. John's got like 13 issues out. So, but we talked about making that part of the remix too, and I think it's something worth doing. So, I'm not really sure where that stands. I don't think I know he's talked to Mickey about doing some of the colors. So I don't know if Mickey's done much or not. I can't answer that. But so yes, and so when y'all send me emails and wonder why has Roland not answered me on this, it's a seemingly easy question. It probably is, but there's this is all the stuff going on, so.
I know why you don't answer me, Roland.
Well, I just like you. Because I'm afraid you'll interrupt me if I start answering.
That's true.
See, I just run around Roland and go to BJ.
That's right, yeah. She just emails BJ. BJ comes to me occasionally. She comes to me occasionally. She says, "Hey, I need to know the answer to this," and I'm like, "Did Barb email you?" She's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "I know. I saw her email. I got to get it to her." She says, "Squeaky wheel," and she goes, "And I just happen to be the squeakiest." I'm like, "Yeah, you just happen to be the closest." So yeah. So that's your update. Surprise you guys?
Yeah, I know we have a lot going
It's
on.
impressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
I should
exciting.
have counted them because that's a lot.
It is.
a lot.
It's a lot, but it's what Curtis says. It's exciting. It's
is.
there's a lot of cool stuff
impressive.
going. Yeah, it really is. And so I'm anxious for us to get to a point that we can start working really hard to get our books into shops, and we're this close. We're just this close. So. Once we kind of make that step, I think we'll be able to then, because of the projects we have in line, I think we'll just be able to just kind of keep going, and that's exciting. It's exciting to me.
I think what's cool too is all those titles are so different. We're not talking about it all. We have superheroes, but it's not all superhero titles. They're all very different with very different creative teams and different stuff like that. So it's really fun.
We're
we-
genre spanning.
And we
Exactly.
keep saying that we're a genre-spanning independent comic company, but we really are.
Yep.
We have everything from children's book up to some pretty risque stuff, so and everything in between.
Well, so the risque.
Sirens here.
So as an asterisk here, right? Where's my hand? As an asterisk here, the slightly risque stuff came in the 90s. It was a different time when being independent at the time was essentially our alternative. It was essentially don't be Marvel and DC, and we were going to go in for the NC-17 R rating kind of thing,
And now it's Barb, can you black this part out?
Yeah, it's Barb. I see a
Can
little.
we shift this a little?
Yeah, but I say, Barb, she's holding a blanket up, but it ain't covering the left there. Can you move the blanket over? Barb's like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, let's put a bikini on her or something,
Yeah.
Some clothes.
Yeah. So there's a page in Trump's where she was in the early pages. She was because the first issue, a lot of people don't realize the first issue was actually penciled in like 90, 99, 2000, something like that. And so there's the girl dancing at the bar in the club, right? Well, she had basically a G-string equivalent thing on, so it was tiny little bands. And I said something to Tommy. I said, can you widen that up some? He goes, what? Well, I can't repeat exactly what he said, but he's like, what? You don't want that in a comic? I'm like, yeah, I don't mind that. She's a sexy girl dancing on the table there, but can you just widen up those strips of cloth that are covering her up there? And he's like, yeah, I can do that. It's all digital, so. so if you actually happen to see the pencils and compare them to the inks, you'll see, oh, that clothing she has on is wider than the original pencils have her. Wider meaning the strips of cloth are wider.
What's really cool about doing this digitally or coloring sirens digitally is that I came upon a scene where I couldn't just cover up or put a shadow across her because it didn't make any sense in the lighting of the entire panel. So I digitally cut the person out and shifted him down slightly so that the knee of somebody else was covering him. So I could just completely shift that panel. And
that's so
I
cool.
loved it.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you could do that in the olden days too, but it required you to photostat, get an X-Acto knife and cut along it and you move it. It was a lot more work.
Real cut and paste.
Yes.
Right, yeah. And I think Curtis did a lot of that in the production department, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if
thing.
it was a comic book, I should have gotten superpowers from all the chemicals I was around in that photostat room. It was basically a development room. And
You're the true Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You
But
got
it was
some color.
the best time
Yes.
ever. I mean, imagine getting Howard Chaykin originals and being told that you get to play around with them for a couple hours. How cool is that, right?
That is very cool. Very cool.
That is awesome.
So, all right. So, Roberta, can you tell us what we're looking at here?
This is part of Champion and Miss Fury, and we have I believe this is page 10. Got this the other day. And it's
What does that
our
look
champion arriving at the airport. And
You are the best with that box of crayons,
Look at this.
Roberta.
yeah,
It looks like Peter.
It is him.
And I recognize the guy at the bottom a bit.
Yeah,
Did he draw himself into the comic?
did.
Put himself
Is
in there.
that's not Peter, is it?
it is.
It
Yeah.
looks like
Is
it
that
to me.
Peter? 'Cause
It
I'm
is a
like-
scar.
With like, no, Peter has hair, doesn't he? He's always
What?
wearing a baseball
Yeah.
cap, but he has hair.
But you know, the idea is there.
Well,
Yeah.
the only reason I know that is because Tommy asked him. Tommy said, "Is that you?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's me." And Tommy said, "Where am I?" He said,
Huh.
"Well, you'll have to be in the next issue then." So,
Oh, that's so funny.
yep. So yeah, that's Pete. So he put himself in the
I
comic.
recognized him right away.
You
Yeah,
know,
it doesn't take long. It's like that. The second you see it, you're like, oh, it's Pete.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
now that he's a comic book character, I don't think he's any longer just a penciler. Wouldn't you disagree?
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know what he's saying, so who knows what this guy's doing?
Oh, I can tell you what he's saying. Do you
You're
want
gonna have to tell me.
You want to
Yeah,
know?
what's he doing?
I can tell you the
Mhm,
exact
I wanna
words.
know.
Give me 2 seconds.
All right. Yeah,
um,
let me know what he's saying.
And because that's actually a page that is lettered, and that's one of the ones that I meant to send to you, but I have not done yet.
Mhm.
Let's see here, issue 1, and I called it rough. What did I call it? Letters rough 1 through 11. Okay, so that's page 10, right? So he says, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 lines, five balloons here, and he says, "Are we still seeing it?" Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. He says, "Boss, yeah, it's me. He's here on the ground. He's with someone else." Yep. That's what he
That's
said.
what I thought was happening. He's
Nice.
spying on him.
Nice.
He looks like he's sneaking up on him.
He gave himself a couple of badass scars too, I see.
I know, I like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I really like this shine on the top of the head.
The dome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Roland,
that's
have you
great.
ever ended up in a comic?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
How about you, Curtis?
No, but no, I haven't. No, I haven't. You?
Nice.
Twice?
2 times? Which
Wow.
ones? Which ones?
Well, the character of Meridian in Primal Force, the character sketches were based on me because I was a good friend of the penciler, and we were developing the characters all together out in New York, and he just sat down and sketched out the character of Meridian, and he used me for a reference. So
Awesome.
that I looked a lot younger back
You're
then.
out there.
and then on Impulse, when the original team that had worked together for 2 years departed, the last issue, we were all the villains.
Oh, that's pretty
In-
cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
so we all got to we were all prison guards. So Craig
Nice.
Rousseau and myself, and gosh, I just forgot the writer's name. We were all the prison guards in that, and it was our likenesses. So yep, twice.
Nice.
Cool. Very
Pe-
cool.
people
Well,
use-
and wait, and also,
Bill
you got- you got a-
Lobes.
but also, I think, wouldn't you count that you got a portrait by Moebius, right? So that would be
Yeah,
kind of adjacent to that, right?
yeah,
I
but
mean,
that was a
you know.
personal sketch he gave me, so it didn't appear in comics. But yeah,
Yeah, but it's Moebius. That's so cool.
yeah, it was cool.
People
I
used
don't think
to.
I've drawn anyone I know into my comic books. But then I don't draw. In fact, I think the Obsoletes is the first comic in a long time when I've been drawing a lot of human beings. I usually draw creatures and other things.
George Perez
So, like,
used to do it all the time.
we draw other people into him, into
Yeah, and so did Dennis Jensen. He would draw all of his friends and stuff into the crowd scenes and stuff. There's several artists that do that. It's a lot of fun.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, I used to.
Roberta, I really like what you're doing on those lips there. I mean,
It's
you get
too
that
much,
really nice
maybe,
little...
but it's fun, right?
No, I love it. I love that
Oh,
one
geez.
little
Red.
highlight in there is just so great.
Let's give him some red lipstick, you know?
Nah,
Yeah.
trying to make it really bright out there.
For some reason, the Twitch stream is not working. Now it wants me to enter in a security code. No, I don't want to enter a security code. So people used to accuse me of being the, and it was just because of the hair. They used to accuse me of being the model for the original cat, because he had a bit of a mullet, and people would say, "Oh, you're the model for that because you have the mullet." I'm like, "Well, no, not really. The model was really Nick Nolte. That was who."
Oh, really?
Yep.
I didn't know
That's
that.
funny.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, Nick Nolte was.
That kind of makes sense. I could see that now.
You can see it now, can't you?
Hmm.
Business
Yeah, I
in
totally
front,
can see
party
that.
in the back.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Now, not not the old Nick Nolte, but one of the younger versions.
Mhm.
Like 48 Hours, Nick Nolte.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thomas Flormonti, he puts people in his comics all the time.
Oh, really?
Yep. He told me that he named off all kinds of people. Yeah, they're in there, they're in there, they're in there, they're in there, and I'm like, where am I? He goes, you're not in there yet.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. In one of the cat and mouses, I stuck our wedding picture.
Yes,
on
you
the wall.
did.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I
That's a
thought that
good
was
idea.
cool. All right, so apparently there's a problem with the Twitch stream. I don't know. I may try to fix it as y'all talk. Wubba says we should do a Unity style story for the New Orleans heroes. So Wubba, one of the things that, long story short, one of the things that John and I have been talking about is some sort of way to figure out some kind of cohesive idea there, and so that's down the line a little bit, but that's something that that John's kind of working with. John Medic is kind of working with as far as some continuity. So, well, it doesn't look like Rory's going to make it, but that doesn't mean we're not going to talk about Divinity. So, so you guys, let's pepper Barb with questions about Divinity. So, I'm going to ask the first one, and then I'll step back and let Barb answer, and then you guys come up with stuff. So Barb, one of the first things that I want to kind of get you to talk a little bit about is that we talk about here on the stream. You've been in the industry for 30 years. You've been an inker. You inked pretty much anybody we can think of when it comes to naming people. What made you decide, I want to write a story. I want to be the writer, the storyteller, and do more than ink the story?
Oh, well, actually, it's not my first writing gig.
Oh.
Back in 1994, I did a small 6-page story for the ElfQuest Summer Special. And so I actually have scripted and written once before. I have one writing credit. So this is my second go-round. But that was like, I thought that was a one and done. And that was it. I had my one writing credit. But then I always have all these story ideas going through my head. I've had a vivid imagination my entire life, and always have storylines going. A lot of times it'll be a TV show that I'm watching or that I like really well, and I'll say, well, if I was doing it, I would have done it like this, and I'll finish it off in my head, But in the case of Divinity, it was I just had gotten to a point in my life when I said, okay, I'm retired, I'm inking. If I'm ever going to push the envelope and do something new, now's the time to do it. At that point, I was 60 years old, and I'm saying to myself, the sky's the limit. I'm retired. I'm still young, and I've got lots of energy and things to do. Now's the time to learn something new. So I not only learned coloring, but I jumped into actually pushing for the first time, going to somebody and saying, I have a story I want to tell. And this one was especially passionate for me. I had dozens of stories I could tell, but this one was really special for me because it was inspired by my brother, who was that has died. Mm-hmm. So it was very personal to me. Next one.
Do you have a specific ending in mind for the story?
No. No, okay. I do not. To me, there are so many storylines for Divinity that I think it could go for a long time. I mean, I envision it as something like a road show, say like The Fugitive. You remember the old Fugitive TV series? Remember that? Mm-hmm. So he had this main villain that was after him the entire series, but along the way, he kept running into other people. All the episodes were he's running from the main villain, but he's interacting and having little short storylines as he's going. And that's the way I envision Divinity, on the road with Zach and Olivia, and as they're keeping a low profile and running into problems with the Cabal, they're also meeting other people and having short storylines and running into good people and bad. There are going to be people along the way that actually help them, that want to protect them and protect Divinity. But again, there's also those that are going to want to take advantage of her. And that brings me a question I want to ask you guys. Roberta, if you knew of somebody that could heal and you're not a nice person, what would you have done to get a hold of this person?
Send thugs to kidnap her.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
Kurtis,
as a bad person.
Yeah. Kurtis, you're a guy in the government who heard about this. What would you do?
Ooh, I would probably try and coerce, try and use the carrot instead of the stick, because that would probably be my first thing. It's always better for the path of least resistance. So that would be my aim.
Yeah, go to Zach. If you're a true patriot, you'd bring your sister in and let her help us. Try to bribe him, and because he's a Marine, they could probably play to his patriotism. How about you, Aaron? Say you're a mob boss and you've got cancer. What would you do?
Would I get her?
Yeah.
I'd probably, strange enough, I'd probably send a religious group after her.
And do you see, that's a really, really great idea, because that's one thing I thought about, is that there's going to be religious groups that are going to see her as the second coming, and other religious groups that are going to see her as an abomination. Mm. And then there's going to be the religious group that are going to be so fanatical about her that they'll do anything to take her away from Zach and conform her to their own ideals. There's always a religious.
I would just think a religious group would be able to spread the word, or be able to get its followers to keep eyes out, instead of just broadcast it on the religious network or whatever, to watch out. So you'd have eyes everywhere, especially if it's
That's a scary.
Because
thing.
think take Christianity, think how many people in Christianity. If somebody like the Pope said that and asked them to do this, you'd have half the world looking out for this person.
Oh, that is really good.
So it's that would exactly how I would do it. So, and eventually I would assume you get her.
Roland, you're the head of a black ops think tank.
And I found out about
Yeah.
We got to get to her before the Russians do, or the Chinese.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I'm the head of a pharmaceutical company, and I see her as competition. So you know, if she gets popular, then their profits are going to take a dip. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also think about if the word ever got out, she wouldn't be if she were recognizable, she wouldn't be able to step out of her front door. She would be constantly mobbed. She'd be on the run from everybody. Everybody would want a piece of her.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody who's desperate would be begging and crying, and how can you turn them down? You know, it would be horrible, the pressure. So it's vital that Zach and Olivia keep her under wraps. And it's going to become increasingly more difficult to do this the longer that she's running around the country. And there's going to be people along the way that are going to help them. And there's going to be people along the way that want to harm them or take advantage of them or use them or silence them. So the story ideas are endless, I think. It could go on for 50 issues.
Have you ever thought about adding a limitation to her power?
Right now, they're just blooming. She doesn't really know what her limitations are at the moment. So the question is going to become, and I do know what the limitations are, but I'm not going to tell you. So the question is going to become eventually, is she able to raise the dead? People are going to say, oh my God, here's Lazarus, you know. Can she raise the dead? Is she that powerful? And where does her powers come from? See, this is going to be another big thing. And for me, Divinity is non-denominational and isn't. I'm never going to pin her to one certain religion. It's going to be a mystery where her powers come from. So every religion could probably reason it away in some way, you know.
Know where her powers come from in your head? Have you figured that out? Okay.
So I'm never going to pin it down as to a certain religion, because I think Divinity should be for everyone.
Strange enough, now, I'm not writing Divinity, but if I was writing this character, I think one twist that I would do would be that the more she heals, the more it kills her. So she's actually, instead of healing a person, exchanging her life force for theirs.
Yeah, that's kind of an older trope, though, you know.
It's been Spawn did this or whatever. I'm just but that's just me. Every time I always there's like some sort of give and take with powers. Sometimes.
Drains. Yeah, and that's very much of a possibility. I have to discuss it with RA, get his take on that, because he's had a few other really good questions too. About how far her powers can go, and he's the one that brought up what happens if people think she can raise the dead. He's the one that brought that one up.
Yeah.
Phil, you'll just have to find out. You know, like keep reading it. See how she deals. She's 11 years old. You know, so not only is she dealing with her powers, but she's dealing with being an 11-year-old on the cusp of teenagehood. And you know, hormones and teenage angst.
And the other thing that's been left out here, she just lost her parents.
Yeah.
Right?
She just lost her parents, and she is now being looked after by her brother, whom she barely knows. There's like 13 years difference. She's 11, he's 26. Is that 13? Am I wrong?
I don't know. You're the math.
Or is it 11 years? I don't know. But anyway, he's 26, and he's, for most of her life, he's been in the military and gone, you know?
Yeah. So
he left for the military when he was 18. So most of her cognitive life, he hasn't been in the picture. So now all of a sudden he shows up. He has to raise her. He has no idea what he's doing. To him, everything is military. You jump when I say, you say high. I say jump, you say how high. And as an 11-year-old, she's like, yeah, right. And I need you. You're being mean to me. And having a meltdown, and she doesn't understand what's going on. Her parents are dead now. She's on the road with a brother she barely knows. he doesn't know what he's doing. So there's a lot of stumbling blocks along the way. And so you have this secondary plot line of them trying to become a family and grieve, and then they're joined by Olivia.
It's 3 issues. I think there are one more issue coming out
has
for
more
that.
Common sense than both of
and
those
then, of course,
together.
the people turn in their
Are your
address.
characters going to age as they go through the story?
Because
Yes.
she's so young. So I was wondering, okay, so.
Yes. And we're going to see her, if the series lasts, like I hope it does, we're going to see her age into teenagerhood and her first date and Zach freaking out. And as her powers will mature along with her. Right now she's healed a dog with a broken bone. We know that.
Yeah.
And in this next issue, you'll see that she's got it's not only offensive, but it's defensive. She causes blisters on a guy's hand. So we see.
Yeah, that's cool.
But no, when
So
Bill
we see
knows the
that
promise of vinyl coming his
also
way,
can
you
harm,
remind
but how much can she harm? Like, can she stop somebody's heart?
Yeah.
Is raising very superficial burns? Or blisters? Is that the most she can do? We don't know. You'll have to watch and find out.
Yeah.
Read.
Before the next question, a couple of comments here. Stephen Brown says, actually, Tommy Flormonti says, great colors, Roberta. And then he gives
Thank
a
you.
bunch of hearts. Stephen Brown said, when it comes to writing, I have a bit of trouble with the synopsis. For example, I have another comic I'm trying to get going. The synopsis gets choppy. Here's my advice, and this is kind of comes from the classroom. One of the best ways to work on your synopsis is the protagonist wants this. This is getting in the way, so the protagonist has to do this, and this is the resolution. Right? It's all about what your protagonist is trying to actively do. And if you can summarize it up like that, if you can figure out what those key elements are, you can usually summarize your story up fairly good. He adds, the villain would always try to outsmart the hero, and I don't disagree with that. He says, who's doing the gradient coloring? Just wondering. That is the wonderful Roberta Conroy.
Thank you.
She is coloring on a Silverline team up, Champion and Miss Fury. The book is, which we talked about earlier, the book is about halfway done. It's about halfway inked, lettered, and colored. So, and then he says, the way I like to show a character's past is through flashbacks. My warning is you got to be really careful about flashbacks. Audiences don't particularly like a lot of flashbacks, and so if you get flashback heavy, you'll lose your audience because they're going to say, I don't care what happened yesterday. What's happening now? Tell me what's happening now. Right, so if you're going, and flashbacks can be used; they're an effective a tool for the writer, but you just got to be careful as to how much time you spend on a flashback. I think you gotta be very aware of your page count, so you don't want too many flashbacks. Because I've just found that readers are like, yeah, I don't care. This is what happens. Tell me what happens now. Right? Obviously, because, and part of this is, look, you're telling me something that's happened in the past. I don't care because I want to know what's happening to the character now. If they were in danger back then, who cares? They survived. They're alive now. Right? And so that's part of the problem with flashbacks.
Roland, wasn't there something, we had talked creatively at one point about putting a flashback at the beginning of a script, which is a common thing in film and TV, but you had said that basically that's kind of a faux pas or not necessarily something that works in comic books. I'd be curious just to hear a little bit more about that since you're on that subject.
Yeah, so you do tend to want to avoid that both in like writing prose and in writing comics, and the reason is this. So what happens is when you have an unspoken contract with the reader, right? The reader and you as an entertainer, have an agreement. They pick up the comic, they start reading, they go, oh, look, this is interesting, and then they get to page 4 or 5, and they're like, oh, that's just a flashback. Oh, none of that really happened. Oh, well, now suddenly they're like, okay, so unless you say this scene is happening right now, today, right? They're going to be wary of you. They're going to be suspicious of you as a storyteller, because they're like, okay, I'm not sure if I can trust this writer because they tricked me. They tricked me in the beginning, and that's usually what an opening flashback is let me trick the reader, right? Let me trick them to thinking, oh, this is happening, and then oh no, look, it's a flashback. And so what happens is you lose the confidence of your reader, and they don't trust you anymore. I know, Kurtis, I know one of the things you and I talked about is like, look, if you're going to have a flashback, make sure the reader knows. Show your primary character, tossing and turning, having a bad dream, and then go into the dream to reveal. This way your reader's like, oh, they're having a bad dream. Let me see what's going on, right? And so they're there with you. Right? But the last thing you want to do is mislead your reader in a way that they can't trust you.
And all this, I mean, is happening on a subconscious level, right? I mean, the reader doesn't literally say, oh, I'm tossing this book because I've been tricked. They just get this nagging feeling that this isn't what they signed up for, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's not that they suddenly go, oh, well, I don't trust Kurtis. He lied to me in the front of, the front of the story. And no. It's all that sort of subconscious saying, well, I don't know about the story now because this was the way it opened, and I wasn't thinking that, and it kind of tricked me, and so now I'm going to be on my guard.
Would that have anything to do with? I always feel like comic books are an active form of spectating, right? There's a much more active part of it. And so in some ways, I kind of feel like the stakes are higher, right? If you're watching a movie or TV, you're just being fed, right? You sit back and you get the IV drip and you're getting your thing, Would that, I'd be curious, would that be why you think they're able to get away with it more? I mean, it's kind of a common trope, especially nowadays in TV. Would that be one of the reasons why? Is because there's not that active interaction? Or is it just different mediums?
I don't know. Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you why they can get away with it in film. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I don't know. I do know that something you said about the being fed the film is this is one of the things I talk about in comics all the time, is that because obviously I'm waving the flag of comics, is that when you go to a film, a movie, TV show, whatever, you consume it the way the director wants you to consume it, meaning at the speed they control everything. You see what they want you to see, you see it how quickly or how slowly they want you to see it, right? You don't control that, not unless you're one of those weirdos who pushes the pause button and all that kind of but they control it. In a comic book, so there are 5 of us on the stream, right? I can't do math. Well, yeah, there are 5 of us on the stream. We can take the same comic book and all 5 of us could consume that comic in a different way. Barb might read it and be looking at all the ink lines, and it take her a little bit longer to get through. Aaron would skip all the sound effects. He's just going to read through it. It's going to be only the dialogue. And you know what I'm saying, that we would consume it differently. So we could have the same comic, and each of us could finish that if we were on a timer. Each of us would finish it. Not like we're in a race, but just, hey, here's a comic, you read it. We would each consume it at a different speed, because we control that. We control the way, how long do we look at the pictures? How long do we spend, reading the dialogue and then looking at the characters' facial expressions? And that's controlled by us, the reader, that's controlled by the reader and not us as the entertainer, right? I love that.
Just like the Outer Limits.
Friendship, I was going to come back to the, and I interrupted. Okay, do you want to talk, Kurtis?
No, you could. Please go.
We're classic at this. Coming back to the flashback scene, there is another way you can take it. I know a lot of people try to do flashbacks or history of characters in flashbacks. my story Goblins that I'm writing, the first 5 issues is the back hit story, and then after issue 6, it knocks 500 years into the future.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason for that. And then the rest of this series is him dealing with what had happened. So it's about my character dealing with the ramifications of what had happened, whether or not he is responsible for what had happened. Or not.
Well, so
Interesting.
So like one of my favorite shows, movies is Highlander. Okay,
Yeah,
Highlander. A lot of the story takes place in the past, right?
Mhm.
But the story opens in modern times, right? It opens with the Highlander going. They have the fight. You know, he cuts off the head, and then it fades into the past. So you know they don't try to trick you, right? You're like, oh, I'm gonna watch because what would happen is if you open up in a barbarian story, right, and then suddenly you're like, wait, how did we get here? What's going on, right? But they start you in modern times, and then you flashback after the story has been started.
So it's kind of just like visually an establishing shot,
Yeah.
right? If you say this is the building the story takes place, and then you start going to the characters and all that in that scenario, there's that continuity. But if you have an establishing shot of a candy shop, and then you cut to the inside of a drug den, which is not the candy shop,
Right.
you would feel cheated and confused.
Yes.
Basically, it doesn't follow that narrative structure,
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great. Highland is a classic one, like you said.
Yeah.
It starts in the future, but the actual start of the story is in the past. It's just letting you know that it's continuing to the future.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
So it's like continuing. Terminator is another fantastic series that does that. Always starts in the future, and then it starts in the past, because the past is really, the future is really an effect of the past.
Right.
And I think what you were talking about flashbacks, if he started telling like maybe 30 minutes or an hour of story in the future and then flip back to the past, that would be distracting. I think it can also matter where you start the flashback. If the flashback started in the beginning to move to the current time, I think that's a little more effective than just cutting it right in the middle and saying, oh wait, I need to tell you about this other stuff before I move on.
Yeah.
That's really,
And that's often the way those end up. It's like, oh wait, crap! I forgot to tell you about this, or you need to know this before you move ahead. You know, that's often the way they kind of come across, and you know you don't want them to come across that way. You know, for those of you, I don't get any audio or any video on Twitch, but every time I get into the guts of the machine, it says we're streaming. Because it says the broadcast is live, and I can see it from inside Twitch, but when I go there, I can't see it. So I don't know what's happening with the Twitch stream. So if you're trying to watch on Twitch, I'm sorry. Okay. Next question for Barb, as we talk about Divinity, which we are kickstarting, by the way. And let me update hit my update screen here. We are still at 36, 86, and 86 backers. Someone get over there and back this. You know you want it, right? You know you want the second issue of Divinity, right? And you're like, yeah, I do want the second issue of Divinity, but you know what? I didn't pick up number 1. Guess what? You can still get it. It's easy peasy. Right? You just say, hey, here's what I want of Divinity and Steam Patriots. And then you go to the next page, and then it says, look, Divinity number 1. You can get it right there. Just a little, as Kurtis just said, just a little click. One click. That's all it is. Just one click. So
there's also some amazing art that's still left. There's a cover
Yes.
from Dean Zachary for Divinity that's for sale. There is a pinup done by Ken Hoover.
Hold on. Slow down a little bit, because I'm going to get there while... all right, so the Dean Zachary is this one, right? Oh, you can't see it, can you?
No.
It's the one with the helicopter, right?
Can't
Yep.
see you.
Yeah.
That's
Don't stop your stream, Roberta. I'll go back to you in just a minute, okay?
Oh, all right. I flipped over to Facebook. I can see.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now if you scroll down just a
the
bit.
cool thing I found out, so all I have to do is, look, this is how easy it is for me to do. I can just click over there and click there. Look at that. I'm sorry. I know. I was like, oh, look what I discovered. I told y'all this was going to be interesting since my producer is not with me. So okay, yeah. So that's the Dean Zachary piece. That's available. All right. So now the next line here, we've got Divinity by Ken Hooper. Tell us about that one.
All right, Ken Hooper was a penciler on Primal Force for DC. He also used to do Aquaman too. Been a friend for ages. We've worked on a lot of different projects together. So he did this wonderful pinup. It's in gray wash. It's the original. So he did all of the work himself. It's penciled and inked in gray wash by Ken.
Nice.
And the next one next to it is by Mitch Faust and inked by me. And that is a still available. That's a really, really beautiful piece.
It is. And for those of you who are around on the first Kickstarter, I think I have one right here. Of course I don't. I have... Wait. Maybe I do. No, I don't. I thought I had a bookmark. I'd been using a Divinity... Oh, wait. Nope, that's not it either. Damn it. I thought I had a Divinity bookmark in my disc. The Divinity, Vinny here in the front is the figure that's on our bookmark from the last one.
Yep. So if you want to scroll down a little bit more.
So we got Rick Hoberg next.
Yep. And industry veteran Rick Hoberg. You want to scroll down just... Oh, there we go. Veteran Rick Hoberg did a picture of Zach there, and if you're a fan of Rick, he's amazing. He used to work for Malibu. Did he do Strangers?
He did Strangers. He sure did. Mm-hmm.
Yep. He did Strangers for Malibu. He did a picture of Zach. That's available. And then right next to that is one of the original character sketches that Alex did when we were first discussing the series. And I was telling him what Olivia looked like. He came up with 2 sketches of her, and this is one of them. And the one thing I really like about Olivia is that she looks like a real person.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got the hips. She's not, over burdened on the top. She looks like a real person. I love the way he draws her because she doesn't have that little pinched in impossible waist that a lot of the heroines have on comics these days, and the big perfect shaped butt.
Yeah.
She looks very real. So this is, but she's beautiful. And somebody said the other day, he says, she looks a lot like
I saw that
Brandy on Liberty Meadows, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? She kind of does.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'm like, wow, it actually does.
Yeah, a little Frank Cho influence there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
not bad
for
influence.
sound too. And we have a couple of interior pages that are left. A couple of them are already gone.
Yep.
And
looks like
nice action.
Page 3. I love this. I love this middle shot of Zach blazing away.
Yes, very much the action scene there. And I really like the colors when you see it in the comic. That scene is very dramatic.
Yeah.
And then we have one that's left has a nice little bit of our first views of Olivia. I think this is one of the first pages where she shows up.
Yep.
And she's obviously got an issue with the guy down in the lower panel. I will let you guys guess what that is, but she storms off. She's not a happy camper.
Yep. And then there are some pages from the first issue that pencils that are still available. I think there's an ink page too, right?
I don't know. I thought it was just pencils left.
Yeah, I think. Hold on. Oh, you may be right. I thought there was this page left in ink, so I gotta go back and look. Because I was thinking I had pages 15 because I remember this panel here. I was thinking that 15 was in pencils and inks, but yeah, it looks like
14.
What's that?
14.
No, 15 is the one I thought I had. 14 is
okay.
gone. Yeah, 14 is gone. Yeah, and it's funny because I had to actually go in. Of course, I could have just scanned the page, right? But the original, he must have filled this in post somehow, because this panel is missing on the original. And then in the scans that you sent me of the pencils, this is filled in. So I was like, must have penciled this in, and scanned it in somehow, some way. So I had to go in and remove this panel, because I'm like, I don't want whoever gets it to think, oh no, you told me that you showed me something else, and I'm like, no, I want to make sure this panel's gone, because it's gone on the original too. It's not there, so yeah. So yeah,
And they're beautiful pencil pages.
Yes, they are.
His work is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. And then of course, if we've got all kind of back issues. If you're like, hey, let me check out some of these other Silverline issues here. Here's your opportunity. It shows you what's here to get them. I think we have been joined by somebody else, have we not? It looks like we have. Who do we have here? Oh my goodness!
Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Hey, my colors
Yes.
are all great.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
That's
Yay.
right.
Shows excitement.
I'm on the hot seat.
I'm underdressed.
I
Please.
feel like I need to put my hair up.
Rory's here too. He's right
Okay.
over.
I'm off the
Right there.
hot seat, so thank God.
So introduce yourself, Scott. Tell people who you are
Hello,
here.
everyone. I'm Scott Wakefield. I'm the Wednesday host, and we're crashing your party tonight to talk about Steam Patriots. Rory and I created that 72 years ago, and
72 years ago.
we've been working on this story, and it's finally seeing the light of day. So, our story, Steam Patriots, is on Kickstarter. I'm sure. I hope you guys have talked about it. I apologize. I have not been
Yep.
watching the show.
It's okay. We let folks know that you had some other stuff going in. Does Rory need me to put him into the?
I think he does.
Okay.
He's kind of
I got him.
looking perplexed. Oh,
Hey.
We did pick up another couple backers, one or two.
You got to put the hat back on, dude. No taking the hat off. There you go.
Don't forget the pipe.
Come on, that even better.
this is more the bullfight.
He
I think.
went from
Oh!
Patriot to pirate with one
Look
twist.
at
Oh,
here. Yeah, and it
That's
looks
awesome.
it looks like you're even in the cellar there.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we are on the dungeon. Secret location coming to you from some. We won't reveal where we are in the world right now.
Staying here until the end of the Kickstarter.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. One of us needs to turn our.
Mine
Do you have your sound on?
off.
Okay.
Yeah, one of you should probably turn the sound off. That way you don't get any feedback.
Yeah, we're sitting right next to each other.
So we
Oh
have
yeah,
been.
you gotta mute because we even use mine.
So we have been bombarding Barb with Divinity questions, and so now it's your turn to be bombarded with Steam Patriots questions. And as Barb just said, we did pick up another couple of backers here. We stand at now 36.98, 87 backers. So don't ask me to do math. But that's less than $1,000 so to go. So
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
we are jamming right along, and very, very exciting to see.
Awesome.
So because I talk a lot, Aaron. Oh, actually, Barb, do you have any questions you want to ask these guys about Steam Patriots?
She's already had
Yes.
the cheat sheet. She can't do
Yeah.
that.
What year does it actually start?
Excellent question. It starts in 1776.
So it does 77.
76, yep. And specifically August of 76, at the beginning of the Battle of Long Island. That's when the after Boston, the siege of Boston, the British went north and they hung out up there and then came back and sat in New York Harbor for a really long time. And as seems to be the way old wars go, people sit around and stare at each other for months and weeks on end and don't do anything. And then finally in August of 76, the British, there were some, I think, over 300 ships waiting in the harbor, and they all then started coming ashore in late August. So it starts right there in August of 76.
And I have another question.
Oh,
Fire
all
away.
right.
Yeah. As with most wars, you see a flurry of innovation out of desperation. Most of our leaps forward in technology usually happen during wartime.
That's true.
At the beginning of the story, where are we as far as the steam revolution?
Good question.
Yes.
Man, that is a good question.
We obviously I put the caveat on there. This is not real history.
I think we know that.
we don't want impressionable youth out there asking their teachers about when did Ben Franklin's boiler carriage.
Oh, but yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So, because we wanted it to be very at the infancy of steam technology, because the steampunk world was very heavy in the middle of the 1800s, and sometimes it'll go right up to World War I, kind of being its era.
And very British.
Yeah, it is very British.
Process,
Yeah, it's a lot of the pith helmets and the British explorers and all those sorts of things. So we wanted it to be in its infancy. So maybe just 20 years into it, and where Ben Franklin has been working, and it's just now becoming usable. And we kind of say
Still
only
cost prohibitive.
right, yeah, and only slightly more convenient than a horse. So these machines, we told our artists too, and we wanted it to be a lot of black smoke and steam, and nothing super efficient. And you need maybe 4 levers to go forward, and and
super clunky.
Yeah, so it's still very rudimentary, and we didn't want to. We wanted it all to still be very much a lot of handcrafted, still iron and wood and things forged, and so the potential for breakdowns is still high, and explosions and injuries.
Right. Give us a lot of leeway for strife, because strife also drives story.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Drive suffering.
Yep.
And will we see some innovation?
Well, so the Steam Patriots #1 is it teases the technology and teases the story world, and you're kind of getting bits of it there. We didn't want it to be in your face right at the beginning. We do right at the opening. We got a cool steam boiler going, and those are images people can see on the Kickstarter page. But then we go into the war, and there's little hints of steam technology here and there. It's all there. But we know through the series it's going to build and become more and more common. And because we wanted the hero, Felix, to be integral to that, like you said, Barbara. So it's war, desperation, innovation, and through the storyline it will grow.
Yeah. Cassisi says, awesome! And then he laughed, I think, at the history thing. Rob Davis said, hey, y'all, huzzah! So tell us a little bit. I'm sorry, Barb, were you done?
No, I'm done.
Okay. So tell us briefly about the outfits you have on, both of you.
Well, Rory broke open his Roth IRA and went on Amazon and found us. They're printed. There's not. They're.
Oh my gosh! What great fakes!
Yeah,
you didn't see that? Oh, I figured that out. Yeah, because he would bend his shoulders sometimes. Like, wait a minute.
Put it back down. Put it back down. I did not.
And then, this is. I think this is a like Spirit Halloween special, right? And I don't know if so this is supposed to be George Washington. I don't think he'd wear the pirate hat. So please, the historians out there,
They're gonna fry
Don't
us.
bombard us with comments that were not period correct.
And I was surprised searching for tricords that they had something so perfectly tricord and steamed.
Yeah.
I couldn't not.
We'd love to go full out reenactor outfits, but that would be like breaking up the bank account. So someday when Steam Patriots is a runaway hit.
If
Yeah.
Townsend can sponsor us, we'll be all right.
Ooh, dropping names there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You must start to learn how to sew, and then you'll be all good.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know,
So and appreciate wool.
Yeah. With the technology.
Yeah.
I actually know a really, really good SCA seamstress. So
Mhm.
Very
Okay.
cool.
I know a couple myself.
Yeah.
mhm.
If you want to know.
have, and I'll throw the name out. The nearby geographically is the Genesee Country Village and Museum, and they have been wonderfully supportive of me, and they have offered to carry Steam Patriots in their store. They are a 19th century living museum, and it's the biggest living museum in New York, and I've been trying to get their reenactor, the people who make the outfits and so forth, and they said it's not that far off. I mean, if they go back 50 years in their designs, they could make some outfits. So I'm trying to get in with them, endear myself to them, and get some outfits. But they go full on, and I've got a friend who's got he and his wife do the reenacting, and they've got great outfits. So we had a little party for the launch here, and he came, and he and his wife were dressed up, and they put our hoodies to shame with their with their.
Now I will say, Scott, you mentioned the Genesee
Country Village.
What you need to point out to them that the Kickstarter has what we call a retailer.
Yes.
And if they will minimum 20 copies. We get their logo right on it, and for them, because someone asked me somewhere, but for them, they don't have to order the flip books; they can get them individually.
Sure.
This is retailers, right? Retailers, and so but all they got to do is order the 20 copies, and we'll put their logo right on it. Yeah.
I got to lead up when I get back home to Columbus. A local comic store that is very pro. Though they said they would do it.
Good, yeah. And same thing. Yeah, and of course you guys have probably seen in the Kickstarters in the past, Coliseum of Comics, which is local here to me. He's already told me yes, we'll get some and we'll support you. So they've been very good about supporting what we do. So. I'm big on Coliseum of Comics. Rob Davis says, my daughter has done costuming and it is very particular about period proper attire. And then he says, I can't fudge on stuff like that with her around.
Although, if you're wrong, the people will let you know. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you missed it earlier. I talked about I did Civil War reenactments for several years, and the name for, and I don't know if it's for all the communities, but certainly in the Civil War community, the name for those who don't wear proper attire is farbs. Right? Farbs. Yes. Farbs. F-A-R-B.
Sounds bad.
If you bring something, like if you walk up with a bottle of Coke, they say, they call you a farb. You're a farb, right? And if you have a hat on that's not period correct, they'll say that's so farby, right? Yeah. So I don't know if it's the same for every period of historical reenactors, but I certainly know that within the Civil War reenactors and kind of some of the Mountain Men generation or era, that farb is a thing. You don't want to be a farb.
No, we are 100% farby right now. I think,
yeah, but you know what? It I didn't realize it until you pointed it out, and then I'm like, oh yeah. Well, Roy, you look like you've gone walkabout.
Yeah. I've gone off the reservation now and never have to shave again.
Wow. Wow, how's it feel to have you can know when the wind's blowing, right?
It feels great, and I've already saved $200 in razors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who's got the next question for these guys?
Honestly, I'm curious. I'd like to hear about
I'm
how
back.
the initial idea came together. I mean, it's such. It seems like such a no-brainer, right? Steampunk and Revolutionary War. But I'd be curious, where did it start?
In the office when we should have been working.
Yeah. Yeah, we were stationed in Buffalo together on the Coast Guard, and we were talking steampunk, and and to this day we can't. Neither of us know who came up with the idea because we were.
It was such a natural progression from steampunk's great. You like history? I like history, and then just wouldn't it be great if steampunk started just a couple years earlier and we could Americanize it?
Yeah.
And just lay claim to it instead of it being, strictly British and pop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it had to start somewhere because you think if it's established by the middle of the 1800s,
right? So like we said, all the technology was there, just not in mass production because it was so expensive,
right?
And because the British still owned America, they could still claim it.
Yep.
Well, and our original story, because we did start with a book. We thought we'll write a book.
We got that.
And I used a National Novel Writers Month, NaNoWriMo, November of 2012, I believe.
Oh, wow. Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. I spent November, and I didn't quite get they do a 50,000 word goal, which is one of when I talk to people about who want to write, if in any project, get it done. Mm-hmm. Don't edit yourself to death because so many people do that. They never finish the story. So I got a beginning and an end, and I got about 44,000 words in a month. And it's a whirlwind, but I recommend people doing that. If they want to write, get it done. So our original story, Barbie talking about it being still part of England, we originally had we had a different plot than what's in the story right now, and I don't know how much I can say without spoiling the current story. But just like any story, when you work with it, a lot of times it'll change drastically.
You edit it and I'll send it to an editor. It's going to be a totally different.
Well, and the thing with getting it done with NaNoWriMo, what I love is they say, so your protagonist starts off as a middle-aged white male, and then halfway through the story might turn into a Sasquatch who lives on Mars. But don't stop writing. Right. Don't stop. Just keep going and get to the end. And then you can figure out either you got to change the beginning, change the end, but you can get it done. So I don't know how I have not re-edited my rough draft, but that was the kernel of the story that Rory and I then we gleaned from. I think we did have it taking place more in England than the United States, if I remember correctly. We had other characters that did not make the comic book cut.
We had hundreds of characters to pick from because surprisingly, the American Revolution was well documented.
And there's so much, and there was so much to choose from, and and I've said this a couple times, we didn't want it to have it be some sort of magic schoolhouse or school bus where
you show off where the battle is.
Felix he's at the signing of the Declaration, and then he's at the battle of this, and we didn't want that. We wanted it to feel real, where he would be at one battle and then you geographically make sense or timeline wise makes sense. He
didn't go from the Battle of Bunker Hill to suddenly the swamps of South Carolina.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. When realistically, 20 miles a day is about the max.
Yes.
So one of the things, Scott, I'm gonna interrupt you here. One of the things, because I'm actually gonna kind of put you on the spot here. One of the things that I have asked you behind the scenes is I want to use this novel that you are mentioning here as a stretch goal. I have not got you to commit to say yes yet, but I think that needs to be a stretch goal because it's where the whole thing was born.
I think that is agreeable.
All right!
I feel a butt coming on here.
I will just have to say, well, maybe if we could make it an explicit caveat that readers are not allowed to make fun of Scott Wakefield after they read it.
So here's what you could do, right? You can write an introduction to set it up, right, so that they know exactly what it is.
And I will throw in the Ernest Hemingway quote: "A rough draft of anything is excrement." So, but you're right. It's fun to find out things like that they wanted Tom Selleck for Indiana Jones, or the Ewoks were supposed to be Wookiees. I love finding stuff out. And somewhere.
And Kasisi has a great question here. He says, how and why did you make the decision to transition from a novel to a comic?
Okay, excellent question. And I will blame Roland Mann.
Oh no!
I really will.
Me?
Who's on the spot now?
Yeah.
Oh, Roland.
We had it done in 2012, and we did have a publisher interested, and he did try a Kickstarter campaign. He was going to make it a series of novellas. He was going to take the big story and chop them up, and we had a little bit of artwork, and the artwork was really cool. And it didn't work.
Yeah.
He wanted too much on Kickstarter, and he was great. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
So it went on the shelf for a while, and Rory and I kept coming up. I wish if I could go through my text messages for like the last decade, Rory and I'd be like, "This is great! I just found out." We had so many ideas. But then my time at Full Sail and my sequential art comics and the class, I said, I got to do it. This is the perfect medium for this story because the visual aspect will be so fantastic to add, and now that we've done the comic book, I can't imagine it otherwise. It's
perfect.
It really does. It really does fit itself well to visual medium. And comic is a great way to do that because as we love to brag about in comics, we've got an unlimited special effects budget.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a good question, Kasisi. Who's got the next question?
I have a question actually for both teams, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So, and I'd be curious, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges you folks have faced from the impetus of the idea, like specifically it being in comic book format, to getting it to this day here where it's actually produced? Because I can say from my limited personal experience working on my own project, it's like, wow, what did I just set out to do? Because it's like a mountain and the peak just keeps disappearing further and further skywards as you get higher. So I'm asking you, what challenges you guys face?
Why don't we let Barb? We've talked Barb.
My first mountain was just getting over my own self-doubt. And to say I can do it. And then my next mountain was getting it rolling. Finding a penciler who would be willing to work up front, and who met my exacting standards, and getting the writing up to par. And it's my idea, and I wrote the rough draft and the outline. But if it weren't for RA to polish the script for me, I'd be sunk because I'm not much of a writer. I'm still learning. So he is a godsend for me because he was able to suggest, well, if you probably should do this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. And then my last mountain is making sure everybody is happy.
Yeah.
That's including my penciler. I want to keep him around. So the pressure for this to succeed is incredible. Because I don't want to let anybody down. And I think that's my biggest hurdle is letting people down. So I need to make this happen in order to keep my people happy. Because I feel like everybody who's worked on the book, it's my responsibility to make sure that it's successful and to make them happy. And I was very excited to have these guys come on board to share the Kickstarter with me.
Yeah.
because I liked the sound of the project. I thought, I really want this to kickstart with Divinity. So
Yeah.
We said the same thing when Roland said we'd be teamed up with you, because you have so much heart and energy into it, and it's obvious that this is your passion and your love for it is there. So we think we're honored to be teamed up as well. So
And we heard your award winning, so
yes.
you have big coattails to pull.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, good question, Kurtis. I will say this, and we touched on it a little bit earlier. One of the things I like about, because you said the peak seems so far away, but one of the things I like about this is anytime you set out on some kind of journey, it's always best to have someone with you, right? I mean, it's difficult to make the journey by yourself, but when you've got somebody there who can encourage you when you fall down, who can pick you up, or who pick you up when you fall down, encourage you when you get slow or when you get tired, who can share their water bottle with you, and vice versa. Then I think that's kind of what again I touched on earlier. I think that's kind of what Silverline has become a little bit. Is that it's this collective of people who are like, come on, Kurtis, we got to do it. Let's go, come on, and I like that. I like that. But I will say this: what Barb said that she feels about the book, I often feel that about the whole thing. It's like I don't want anybody to be unhappy. It's like when someone said,
and I think that's great about Silverline.
Yeah,
is that we want to make sure everybody else in the company is happy.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, I always because I told all of you before coming in, I'm like I'll be straight up with you and as honest as I can be. I'll be transparent with you. And this is why it's important for me to say, hey, look, you need to love to do comics because because
you only made it try a couple times.
Right? Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that's important, and it's one of the things I love what Silverline has become. So one of the questions that Barb was asking, I'm gonna pose to you guys, is that I know this is a 4-issue miniseries because that's kind of our model. But have you guys got ideas for stories or things that happen? I see Scott's eyes. Things that can happen after this first 4-issue story?
Yes. It's almost like we, again, have to rein ourselves in. Pick a thing, pick a line, pick a route, and stay with it, because there's so many things we could do. So and the way I like to write, and then what's great with having Rory is he helps me edit. Is whenever I write anything, I try to get the big things, the beginning, the end, and then wherever the middle or middles, and then fill in from there, and then keep distilling down to the little bits. So we do have the end of the war.
Right.
We know how it ends. Yeah. Well, we do. Spoiler. If you don't know how the war ends, okay. We have the end for Felix. It's not going to be in this first 4-part,
right?
But hopefully if it's successful, we'll get there. So we've got some big milestones planned on the way back. The first, this 4-part is pretty well plotted out. We might, in the editing, change a few little details, but then we've got the big milestones. And then we have some other characters. We have characters we want to introduce, and it'd be really neat to do like a one-shot or a spin-off for those characters.
Classic American icon.
Yeah. Then if the story keeps going, history, there's so much. The next phase for America is the Barbary Wars. So we could go on the ocean and have big nautical battles, and then War of 1812, and by then Felix will be, I think, in his 40s by then, and it'll be, he'll maybe have a family, and he'll be, I'm too old for this, And
it's funny because we're running it all. We immediately jump to the end. Like, we have so much material to pull from.
Yeah.
Well, the Revolutionary War itself lasted for 7 years, so
right. Yeah, but and so So Felix is starting at 15 years old, and he'll be 22 when it ends. He's an adult. I mean, in the 78 by 15 he could have been married. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, he'll be an adult, and a lot will happen. And there's so much we could draw from.
Yeah.
And we want it to be character rich. I love character driven stories. Both of us wanted him to be a well developed character. We wanted to establish who he was in the beginning, and of course, we want him to go through change. Yeah.
I would say one of your challenges for a historical kind of book is getting to the end. And not that it's a challenge to get there, but it's a challenge to, if you get there, now what do you do? Right. The war's over.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Okay, well, what's the next story? Well, a day in the life after the war.
Yeah. Well, off to work.
Yeah. Let me shovel coal into the boiler here.
Right. And we've even had another Silverliner chat with us about one of his ideas too. So
cool.
So we'll see if these 1, 2, 3, 4. What's that?
This is Dean.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Dean's got a cool idea,
Yeah.
and I want to. I want to run with it now. Take a breath.
Listen. Don't distract Dean. If he's listening, he knows that I would tell him this. He's easily distracted. Squirrel.
No, I don't want to distract. His book looks so awesome too.
It does.
So,
yeah.
Let's all stop. Let's all finish our own
Right,
stories.
Yeah. So Kasisi has a great question here. He says, and actually it's for all of us, I think. But we'll aim this at Steam Patriots and Divinity, since we're about you tonight. Have you all thought about creating story Bibles, even light versions, and offering them as bonuses with character arc and etc. stuff like that?
So we do have a story Bible.
Really?
I was very privileged in my Full Sail career. At my time at Full Sail, I had to create one, and so for my developing new worlds class, I created the story Bible, and I haven't looked at it again in a while, and things may have changed.
Sure.
I may have diverted from that a little, but yeah, that Rory and I have been sharing that back and forth on a drive.
Kasisi probably has one as well.
Yeah.
He's a Full Sail grad.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
From the same program.
Yep. Yeah. Excellent. So yeah, it was invaluable, and so I loaded up to a Google Drive, and Rory could draw from that. Rory would throw in. You find a link to something cool, we'd throw a link in, so the whole world could keep growing.
Yeah.
And like I said, we have more information than we could ever use.
Yeah. That's actually not a bad idea. Of course, part of the thing about story, because he says yes, I do. He has a story Bible too. If you're just thinking about them a little bit, for me, part of my concern might be, well, there's stuff in there that I'm not sure I want readers to know yet. Well,
that was exactly what I was going to say. If I did one, and that's a really interesting idea. I have lots of notes jotted down, but I don't have an actual Bible. I would probably offer
you have
it.
Scrolls. Sorry.
Parchment, hand-pounded parchment. I would probably offer it as an incentive on the last issue.
Yeah. I think that's a good. That would be a good plan. The last issue. I think that's a really good idea, Kasisi. And he says maybe a lore guide. The funny thing about it is, in our first, we haven't done it in several Kickstarters, but in our early Kickstarters, we used to offer what we call digital, digital extras, and it had the scripts and stuff like that. The last 2 times I did it, I sent the links out, and not a single person downloaded them.
Oh.
And so I'm like, and of course I take time to put them all together. I have to put them all, and on the first one, man, I made extensive notes on it, and I'm like, nobody's going to download them. I'm not even going to offer them anymore. So we haven't offered them. I want to say 3 Kickstarters now, but nobody was even downloading them. So it was just one of those goofy things.
Anybody ever download the digital art book that we offered that one time? Or is that in the same category?
It's in the same category, yeah.
Okay, that's
unfortunately. Kasisi said, I would just love to understand the universe. So.
43.
no, wrong number.
42.
Yeah.
42.
42. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. We all knew what you meant, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. I think that idea is great, but you're right, Barb. Sometimes you might want to see it afterward, because sometimes there's things in there that I think for Full Sail we had the Star Trek Next Generation story Bible was one of our downloadable examples of a story Bible, and there's stuff in there that Gene Roddenberry put in that didn't quite make it into the show, but also you would not want to know until it was all done.
Right.
Yeah, it gives too much away.
Yeah.
Yes. But I love that. The same as like reading a rough draft or reading the author or screenwriter's notes. I love finding that stuff out later. That in their thought process they imagined this actor, or they imagined this scene going this way, or this person was going to die or not die, and there's a debate over should we kill this character. I love finding that out later, because if you feel more involved, you feel like you're deeper into the story, and if you geek out on something, you geek out.
Right.
Cool.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, love it.
Yep. Hey, we've actually picked up another backer, y'all. Here we've got. We are at $37.98. Let me pop that up here because I know how to do it now. We are at $37.98 with 88 backers. So somebody do the math for me. How close does that put us?
$700.
$700 away.
And two.
And $702 away. So thank you for those of you who have just backed us and help us get a little bit further. So as you can see, we've still got 14 days to go, and there's still all kinds of goodness here. You can see if you're overseas. If you really want the physical books in your overseas, you got to drop me a message and we'll calculate the postage for you. But I was not going to, unless you put together a Kickstarter, you don't realize how much work it is. And I was not going to calculate the postage for every single country on the face of this globe.
Roland, come on.
So if you're overseas and you're like, I would do it. I just, I want the physical. Just let me know and give me your address, and we'll calculate what your postage would be. And we'll do it that way, because you can always do it right here, right? Pledge without the reward, or you can do it here and then you can add it on the next step. So there's the digital double where you get both books digitally. Then we've got the double feature, and that is the main book here, right? So flip book, you like that flip book, where you get both of those. You can't see me, but it's a flip book. And you have the retailer bundles, so if you're a retailer, let us know. We would like to get copies into your store, and if you get 21 or more copies, we'll put your store logo, boom, right there on the cover. If you want them signed, they're actually signature cards that come with them. You're going to get signature cards that have Barb's signature, and also have Scott and Rory's signature. And then there is the completist level, and that's where you get the Kickstarter flip book, you get the A covers, the B covers, and the retro versions. So someone told me that I needed to do a completist on every single one, and I'm like, well, that's pretty easy to do. So, and don't forget, there's all kinds of artwork still here to be had for those of you who are fans of artwork.
Is the completist the most backed level?
No. Actually, you know what? I don't want to get in there because it will show backer information. Let me see if I can get in on another. It actually tells me while we're going. It tells me what the most backed is, and you're going to be surprised at what it is, I think. Give me just a second, and I will tell you. Let me go to dashboard here.
Looks like the
so
early bird.
the most backed is the early bird. There are 25 backers for the early bird. The second most backed is the completist. And there's 20 backers for the completist.
That's incredible.
What's that?
That's incredible.
Yep. Well, you know what? And this is obviously we're seeing it. People like to get, the collectors like to get. They want give me every cover. I want every cover that you've got. I want every version that you've got, and that's why I think that we didn't do a completist on our last one, and I think we should have. So we've got one now. So this gets you. It gives you one of everything. So, yeah. Okay, so anything you guys want to add? My clock says 11:03, so we probably ought to be wrapping this up. Jump back over here to Berta. Berta, what you? What's that?
I'm almost done.
Yeah, I know. I see that.
Yeah.
So
Almost. I got these little guys.
Remind us again what you've been coloring on.
This is the Silverline Team Up Champion and Miss Fury. About halfway through the book, and that's our champion there in yellow. That's
right. And you see those.
It's a good dude, no mullet though.
Yeah. So I read some of the dialogue for the guy in the bottom panel.
Right, this guy.
Yeah, you see the two stewardesses there in panel 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to know what their dialogue is?
Yes, I do.
Their dialogue is yum.
That's kind of what they look like. They're saying.
That is exactly.
Or it more looks like you talk to him. No, you talk to
him. yeah. It's yum.
That's funny. You're making me laugh. I love that I don't know that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, that you color it before knowing what the actual dialogue is. Yeah.
Well, I like to think that the artist, gave pretty much the whole story.
Oh yeah.
In the expressions and the poses and all that. So.
Yeah,
and the dialogue is just like maybe a story move, but not really content.
That should be something we might talk about sometime. Is kind of the Marvel method and the DC method and pros and cons and things like that. Kasisi said, "Have a great night, guys." Thank you, Kasisi, for jumping on and joining us. Great questions. Really appreciate you, man. So anything else, guys, other than go back it?
Yeah. share.
Share?
Yeah, share it. And share, because the better we do, the more you get. And
That's
so
right.
Get your buddies out there. And thanks to the Silver Sunday crew for letting us crash the party.
Absolutely.
Great to have you guys here.
And
that was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Scott and Roy, Barb, I know you guys are lining up some appearances, some streams, some podcasts, and that kind of thing. For those of you who are listening, keep your eyes posted on the Silverline social medias. We'll announce those when these guys are going to be on there to talk and promote the Kickstarter even more. So, be sure to share. Rob Davis says, have a great one all. Thank you, Rob. Barb, where can everyone find you online?
I'm the only Barbara Kaleberg on the internet, so all you have to do is Google my name and you'll find everything.
All right. Aaron, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Facebook, Instagram, ALH3810 is my Instagram handle. Webtoons, I have another episode of Goblins going up tomorrow.
Woohoo!
I think that's everything. Yeah, I'm getting close. I am 75 pages to being done. A little under 75. Yay, me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great job.
75 pages until completion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The whole thing.
Well, and you're doing that at the same time as the obsoletes, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Kurtis, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Sure, you can find me a bunch of places. You can find me on my martial arts school. You can find it on YouTube and Instagram, TigerCrane805. We have a brand new website and we have a brand new online Kung Fu program. So if you're interested in learning Kung Fu or Tai Chi online, it's tigercrane.net. And then you can find my comic book, Shadow Ghost. It's Shadow Ghost Comic on Instagram and Facebook.
Nice.
Thanks.
Curtis, do I have the links for Shadow Ghost?
I can get them to you.
Yeah, do that. Please. Roby, where can folks find you online?
You can look under Instagram or Facebook for Roby Conroy, and you will find me.
All right. Rory, what about you? You are nowhere on the internet.
He's an enigma.
Inclusion remains. So if you're clever enough, you can find me on Instagram.
Oh, Instagram. Okay.
Otherwise, you can haunt me through Steam Patriots on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Very cool. Scott, what about you?
Yep. Same at Steam Patriots on Facebook and Instagram. If you want to be all professional, like I'm on LinkedIn, Scott M. Wakefield, and I think that's. Oh, and we've got SteamPatriots.us now.
That's it.
So we've got our own interwebs page.
Sweet.
And, yep. So that all the goodies are there too. We try to put all the information there. So
nice.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Very cool. And I am Roland Man. You can find me at on all of the social media outlets. Look for Roland Man. Look for my mug. Curtis, you got something to say?
Yeah, and don't forget, everybody, we do have the Silverline Comics podcast now available wherever podcasts are found.
That's right.
And if you want to listen to us ramble about comic books on your commute and get you away from the traffic mentally, it's a good place to start.
That is and I'm making a note of that. Why wasn't that on?
And we got a great Wednesday show, I hear, full of
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to join the Whammers. Aaron, who are our sponsors?
It is Daytona Beach Comic Con and History Camp are our sponsors.
Woohoo! All right, we want to shout out to both of them and say thank you very much. So don't forget to John Martin may be streaming something tomorrow night, but he's not here for us to ask. So we miss John and Pete and Mike and those who couldn't join us tonight. But don't forget to tune in on Wednesday for the Wednesday Whammers, and we'll be back here next week. And until then, remember to make mine Silverline. Good night, everyone. Oh, I'm producing. I got to figure out how to turn it off, don't I?
Let me toast to you, Roy. Let's go, Roy.